Alright guys, the Bloody Magpie wanted me to check out something from Mikefireburn. This is some more of Zach's stories from the military. This one in particular is Humvees and APCs. Campfire stories, guys. These are particularly fun for me because I remember being frustrated at things when I was in the military myself. But all that being said, let's jump into it, let's have some fun, and let's laugh a little bit.
I used to have, you know flip clocks? The inside of the clock is a bunch of little cards. It's like a Rolodex.
Okay.
And when it ticks over to the next number, it goes click and it flips down.
So it's a bunch of different cards that flip over.
Yeah, basically.
Automatically based on the time.
I had one of those. It's this ancient alarm clock. It used a little tiny incandescent bulb to illuminate the inside of the alarm clock.
It seems very niche, very little campy thing.
Well, it was from like the 80s. And that's not why I had it, but it was from the 80s.
Wouldn't surprise me if it was why you had it.
I'm pretty sure it may have been like my mom's alarm clock when she was in college, and I was just like, this is what I'm using.
Okay.
That would go off, and there was one morning that it went off. I can sleep through almost anything.
Yes, you can.
There was one morning where it went off, and I, like, grabbed it and just threw it across the room.
And it shattered into a million cards.
No, it continued working. That thing was damn near indestructible. There was another morning where I woke up. I was late for whatever it was. Mm-hmm. I couldn't figure out why my alarm hadn't gone off. I also couldn't figure out where my alarm clock was. Had no idea where my alarm clock had gone. Mm-hmm. Went into the closet to get a shirt. Opened the closet door, and at the bottom of the closet was
a mess of screws and
a
parts.
big bundle of blanket. I had taken the alarm clock, unplugged it from the wall, wrapped it in a blanket, and thrown it into the closet while I was asleep.
You were so...
I honestly had to have at least 3 alarm clocks in my room at all times. I had to have 3. Now I can I can wake up with like a phone, but back in the day, if I didn't have 3 alarm clocks going, like I had to have one of those like one of the ones with the bells, a radio one, and the one on the phone, because otherwise I just wasn't gonna be able to get up. Like that's how tired I was.
So tired, you don't even remember.
Did I ever tell you about the about me sleeping through a mortar attack?
You were mortared quite a few times. I don't remember you sleeping through one.
We got mortared multiple times, and one of the things that our unit started doing was when we started getting mortared at nighttime, because we were in a barracks, a long building, rooms on one side, rooms on the other side, one big hallway that goes all the way down there, and then it stairs upwards to a second floor, which is more of the same. Mm-hmm. So when we started getting mortared, they got everybody to come out of their rooms into the hallway so they could get accountability of who all was there. Which I thought was a really fucking stupid idea.
You mean because we're all now in one long corridor?
Because now we're all in one long corridor, and if a mortar comes straight through the roof, it's going through the roof, down, and it's going to detonate in the hallway and just send shrapnel ricocheting down this hallway made of cinder blocks.
Well, how else would you have gotten accountability?
Go open the door to their room and check to see if they're there.
I guess. Maybe everyone stands in the doorway and reports that everyone is there.
I don't know. There's definitely a better way to do it. Other than
the
cluster
worst
up,
way.
boys. They can't hit all of us at once.
Unless they use a single mortar, yep.
Anyway, I got real tired of doing that. 1, because I would just straight up sleep through mortar attacks. And 2, I was like, this is stupid. We're all gonna die.
If I'm gonna die, I'm not gonna die tired.
Yeah, exactly. Well, also, what if we're getting mortared and I'm asleep? Why are you waking me up so that I can die awake?
What do you want me to do about it? Yeah, I'll go shoot down the mortar.
Yeah, let me die in my sleep, jackass. Anyway, do you remember like the early invasion of Iraq?
That wasn't there.
Do you remember the whole big deal with up-armored Humvees?
It sounds very familiar to me.
When we first invaded Iraq, we went into Iraq with the most inadequate shit.
I do seem to remember. There's something about body armor, too.
The body armor was all woodland camo. Most of the uniforms were woodland camo initially. So we're in the middle of a desert wearing woodland camo with, like...
We had woodland camo on the boat. Oh.
Green.
M81 woodland camo vests. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I love woodland camo. Don't get me wrong. M81 woodland is amazing. It's like my favorite. It's one of my favorite camo patterns of all time. But it's not suitable for a fucking desert.
Right.
The other thing was, we went in there with Humvees that literally had, like, the nylon door. It was just a metal frame
Oh, yeah.
With a nylon door and a plastic window that folded down.
Yeah.
And then we got the fiberglass doors.
Ah, yes.
So there was a big deal about, like, these soldiers are in Iraq with doors that this Humvee literally has 0 armor on it. Like, if you threw a baseball hard enough, you probably could get it to go through the... Oh my god, what is his name? What is the fucking baseball player's name that
Babe Ruth?
No, that obliterated a bird with his
Randy Johnson.
I'm sure that's not what he wants to be known for.
He was pitched real fast.
Yeah.
Anyway, if that dude pitched a baseball at the side of one of these Humvee doors, I'm sure he could get the baseball, just go book and punch a hole clean through the door.
Just throw the baseball through the door, huh?
The dude had like a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. It's
104.
Like, he could do it. Anyway, so they started just making doors out of sheet metal, which sucks. It's like, that's not going to stop an EFP, but it's better than nothing, I guess.
I guess.
Oh, sorry. EFP is an explosively formed projectile.
So we were slapping metal on Humvees, just any kind of metal, dude.
Yeah, basically.
Sheets of metal.
During the early global war on terror in Operation Iraqi Freedom, they were just slapping whatever they could find on the side of Humvees. Just anything. Like, legitimately, soldiers were piling sandbags in the bottom of the Humvee to absorb something.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll absorb some shrapnel.
Wow.
Because these early Humvees, during the early global war on terror, you could straight up take out a Humvee with a single hand grenade.
Wow, that's pretty pathetic.
It's pretty terrible.
Do you think they were designed that way because they weren't expecting to use them in that kind of combat?
No, because all the Humvees that the military was using, we had been using since like the 1980s. It's not a frontline combat vehicle. It's not an armored personnel carrier. You're just using this thing, this Jeep, as like basically just a utility truck. You're just transporting stuff from A to B. And A to B usually does not include a front line anywhere. Also, by not putting a bunch of armor on it, it's slightly faster, so hopefully if you do encounter any enemies, you can kind of just go, ah, and drive away really quickly. Also, you probably should have a dude on the back with a 50, and then he could like shoot at him, so whatever. That doesn't really work when you're in a urban environment and you're fighting asymmetric warfare, i.e. a bunch of insurgents who are planting fuck-off landmines on the side of the road.
Yeah, it seems like the Humvees were designed for conventional warfare, not to combat insurgencies or partisan participants.
Yeah, exactly. They were designed for conventional warfare, and they weren't ever supposed to be frontline vehicles.
My initial thought was, how did we not learn anything from Operation Desert Storm in the 90s? But
Operation Desert Storm was over way too fast. I mean, we didn't do an occupation. We didn't do anything like that. We just rolled in and just steamrolled them.
At the same time, that was more of a conventional war too, wasn't it?
That was more of a conventional war against a very underpowered enemy. You didn't have Humvees doing frontline combat. Maybe you had some Humvees doing scout duty? Anyway, one of the things that they did when they were up-armoring vehicles is they ordered these huge, like, these massive blankets made of Kevlar. It's just like 100 layers of Kevlar. It's a lot. These blankets are like maybe an inch thick.
Wow, it's a lot.
It's a lot of Kevlar. And they would take those and they would use like tin snips to cut them up and fit them and put them in the bottom of a Humvee so that, again, it could absorb some shrapnel.
Right. The Humvee might still be wrecked, but hopefully the soldiers inside are still alive.
Hopefully you don't get like a chunk of shrapnel the size of your fist coming through the bottom of the Humvee and going up your asshole. A molten copper enema is not exactly the most fun thing.
No.
I wouldn't imagine so.
Yeah. So there were a bunch of these extra Kevlar blankets that were left over sitting in the motor pool, just stacks of them. And I was sick of constantly being woken up in the middle of the night, because there was a period for about a good 2 months that we would get mortared anywhere from 2 to 4 times a day, every single day. And then it would go like 2 days where we wouldn't get mortared, and chain of command would be like, okay, if we don't get mortared if we don't get mortared today, this is the 3rd day. If we don't get mortared today, you don't have to wear your flak vest and Kevlar every time you go outside.
Okay, seems weird.
Yes.
Well, because we had to wear it every time we went outside because we could get mortared at any point.
You probably still will after 3 days of not being mortared, though.
Well, because one of the things that we got really good at was triangulating exactly where the mortar came from within seconds of it being fired. We had like really good firefinder systems that could calculate it within seconds of being fired. And I'm just now remembering another side tangent. We had these firefinder systems that are these big panels. They're like big radar panels that they put on top of buildings. somebody got a little remote-controlled helicopter, and they thought it would be funny to fly one of those around. So they were flying it around in front of the firefinder system, and the firefinder system thought it was an incoming mortar, so it just starts going, bam, 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 incoming, 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 bam, bam, bam. It's so like everyone's running, and this dude with the helicopter's like, oh, fuck, and just drops it and runs away. Anyway.
Yeah, and you got pinned for that?
I don't know if they actually figured out who did it, but they were basically just like, no more flying helicopters outside here. It's just like...
Makes sense.
Anyway, so
Yep.
we got real good at pinpointing where incoming fire was coming from.
So you would attack the location where the fire came from, and you would assume...
Yes, well, we would either send a QRF, which is a quick reaction force. We would either send a QRF out to where the mortar site was if it was close enough to try to stop them, or we would just do counter battery fire and fire mortars back at them. The insurgents very quickly figured out that's what we were doing. One of the things they did is they would take mortars. They would take a mortar. So you know how a mortar works?
You basically launch it from a tube.
Yeah, you basically have a tube on the ground. You hold the mortar over the top of it. You let go of it. It slides down the tube, hits the firing pin, and launches the mortar out. What they would do is they would set up 10 mortar systems in like one location. And the day before, they would take each mortar and put it in a bucket of water and then freeze it.
I was actually gonna guess that, but then I thought, no, that's a stupid thing to guess. There's no ice out there. They have no access to
Yeah,
ice.
they do.
They got refrigerators. So what they would do is they would set up like 10 mortar tubes, get them relatively zeroed, and then bail. And then throughout the day, as the ice begins to melt, the mortars start sliding down the tubes and going off. If the US does counter battery fire, there's nothing there to hit. They hit a bunch of empty mortar tubes.
I guess, yeah, we're just kind of counter battery fire is a waste of resources.
So because we realized they were doing that, we would figure out where the mortars were coming from. We would look down there with a drone, abandon mortar tubes. We just wouldn't do counter battery fire. We just kind of stopped responding to it. Almost like just ignore it.
Okay.
Even though they're dropping mortars on us, just ignore it. Pretend it's not happening.
Okay.
And then after a good 3-4 weeks of that, they were like, they're not doing anything anymore. That means we can launch as many mortars as we want with impunity. So one day, they go out there, and they started mortaring us for probably about a good 20 minutes.
Jeez.
Just constant boof, boof, boof. These things are just going off constantly.
There is value in varying up your tactics.
A little
Yep.
bit, yeah.
The only problem is, because we would look with a drone to see what was going on, we could see that there were like 20 guys out there just launching mortars at us. So they flew over with Apaches and turned the entire area into mulch.
Oh, okay.
And then we didn't get any mortared anymore.
So that leads into you not being mortared for 2 days.
Oh, well, that doesn't lead into that. Basically, they would vary up their tactics. They would, like, wait a couple days.
Well, the entire reason
Not
you
mortared.
told this story is because you started off telling another story about how you...
Yeah, I got that real ADHD.
I
brain.
know, but now going back to that story where you didn't have to wear armor on the
they're
third
like,
day.
Oh, well, if we don't get mortared by midnight tonight, then we don't have to wear flak vests and Kevlar anytime you go outside anymore.
Which seems poorly thought out, but anyway.
It does seem poorly thought out, and also I didn't really...
You didn't like
I was
to wear
a stu-
flak and Kevlar.
I didn't want to wear my flak vest and Kevlar anywhere, and I also kind of just wanted to die. So I was like, whatever. If a mortar lands right next to me, I'm already fucking dead anyway. Why am I wearing this crap? Just what? I don't care. I mean, yeah, if a mortar landed like 50 meters away from me, I could still get hit with a chunk of shrapnel and die. The flak vest would have stopped anyway. So it'd be, so we're just like sitting there like watching the clock, waiting for midnight to roll around. 11:51, mortars start dropping. It's just like, God, I don't want to wear this thing anymore. Stupid flak vest keeping me alive.
I'm so hot!
So uncomfortable. I would go days without eating because it was too hot to go out to the dining facility.
Jeez.
I would just be sitting there and be like, it's time to go get food. I'm just gonna eat some Pop-Tarts and drink some water.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's too hot to go to the dining
Like,
facility. I'm not putting all that crap back on.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Yep, if you have to put all your gear on to go eat, I guess, like...
It was miserable.
have to
Anyway.
weigh that, yeah.
Anyway. We're getting mortared every day, and I'm tired of having to get out of bed and go sit in the hallway. And we got these Kevlar blankets sitting at the motor pool.
They're very comfortable to lay on, I assume.
Not really.
No.
They're quite thick. It'd be like laying on a big leather pad.
yeah.
Which,
Like-
I mean, I did that in gym class. It was kind of fun.
Nah, like, nah. I struggle to actually bring into terms what it feels like to have one of those vests on. I struggle to actually put it into terms because God, I'm trying to think of a good way to actually describe the sensation of these vests, like the actual strap on around and up vests. No, there's no way to adequately describe them at all. Imagine wearing just compressed plastic all over your body. And that's the best way I can say, like, flexible plastic. It's just, no.
Fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't breathe.
It would be
at
better than
all.
sleeping straight on the ground, but they don't have a whole lot of give to them.
Gotcha.
And I'm looking at these blankets, and the old wheels start a-turning.
Oh boy.
So I grab like 2 of these Kevlar blankets and just drag them all the way back to my barracks room.
Okay.
I take one of the blankets and I make a handle for it out of duct tape. Like a big pull handle.
Okay.
And then the other
Where he's
blanket,
going.
I shove it in between the mattress and the bed frame.
Okay.
So we start getting mortared that night. I grab the handle and I pull the Kevlar blanket up over myself, and thus cocooning me inside a giant Kevlar pod.
That seems terrifying.
No, that's the
It was
best
quite
idea
comfy,
ever.
actually.
I know for you, Mr. I love being compressed in an MRI machine. It might not seem terrifying to you, but the prospect of it not opening back up is kind of horrific.
Oh, no, because literally I could just push the Kevlar blanket off me.
Yeah, unless the building got mortared and then rubble fell on you.
Yeah, but then I'm dead. If the building got mortared and it collapsed on me, I'm dead anyway, so what do I care?
I'd rather be mortared than buried and trapped in my Kevlar cocoon.
That wasn't really a concern for me, because it basically would just be like if you got in a really thick sleeping bag.
Okay.
It pretty much is the same. Just imagine it's a sleeping bag, but it's a bulletproof sleeping bag.
Oh,
Yeah, at that point, it'd be really safe, honestly. It'd be really, really safe, because it's really, it would absorb, it's really, it just disperses stuff over a much wider area. It's nice for that. We were a bunch of idiots, and we would punch each other in the stomach and stuff like that, and you just don't really feel it. It just absorbs literally everything.
okay.
Which is good for a
or an
bulletproof
EOD
vest,
suit
by the way.
without legs or sleeves. You're just in a little Kevlar burrito. So, oh yeah, I also forgot that I put my helmet on. I put on my helmet and then pulled all this other stuff over me, and just went right back to sleep. So they're coming down the hallway. Everyone, get in the hallway! Get in the hallway! They're just like pounding on the doors. Platoon sergeant's like, "Where's Hazard? Where's Hazard at?" And my squad leader goes like running down there, like pushes open my door and shines a flashlight in there, and just sees this olive green Kevlar burrito with a helmet poking out of the top of it. And he goes, "Oh, Hazard's fine," and just closes the door.
Used to.
He's like, "Oh, he's fine." He's probably safer than all of us. What the fuck?
And then 2 hours later, he emerged as a beautiful Kevlar butterfly.
The Kevlar wings.
Yes.
Ah, pin me to your corkboard now, Mr. Scientist. I actually slept through several mortar attacks, because the only reason that I woke up was because someone came and like kicked my door open and was like, "Get in the hallway, we're getting mortared." And I'm just like, again? Can we not?
God, I hate war so much.
War sucks. When they said war is hell, I didn't know they meant I wouldn't be able to sleep. That's one of the reasons that I sleep so much. Well, Gulf War syndrome is the other one, but being exposed to burn pits has permanently ruined my brain.
There are many different reasons why you like to sleep.
I love sleep. Sleep is amazing. But yeah, I slept through mortar attacks straight up. So I got so used to being mortared that I would like when I hear the incoming siren, it's like, all right, fuck, whatever. I start like slowly walking to the bunker, because the bunker's like 20 feet away. I can get there in time. It's
I
gonna
guess
be fine.
it'll protect me. Ugh.
Whatever, it'll protect me. And it's just like, they don't hit any. Literally, the joke is like, they can't hit anything anyway. They keep blowing up the soccer field, and there's never anybody out there, so who cares? What's gonna happen? Are they gonna get like 1 foot closer to me than yesterday? So like slowly walk into the bunker, stop to light up a cigarette. As I'm trying to light the cigarette, one lands like within 100 meters of me, and I'm just instantly like, run into the bunker.
The fear of God in you.
Yeah. It's just like that happens to so many people too. It's just, you get so complacent about just like, whatever, nobody cares about mortars, until a mortar lands within 100 meters of you and you just like scream like a little girl and dive to the nearest bunker. Yeah.
War is mundane until it's not.
It really is. It's real goofy.
I don't think I ever saw the unarmored Humvees. By the time I had joined a few years later, everything was armored.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, at that point, they had just armored the hell out of everything.
Tell you what, slamming your fingers in a car door ain't fun. Slamming your fingers in an armored Humvee.
Yeah, I think that happened to one of the people in our unit. They legitimately lost a chunk of their finger.
Yeah, it does some serious damage.
It just went pop and just popped it off.
Ah, no, that's not a good image.
If I recall correctly, one of the problems is a lot of the Humvees had like a magnesium armor, which magnesium armor is really lightweight. It can handle a good amount. The problem is if it catches fire, that shit burns so fucking fast.
Yeah.
And you cannot put it out. When we were there, they had these new fire suppression systems they'd put in the Humvee. It had like sensors on the inside of the Humvee.
Had a sprinkler on the inside.
What?
Kinda, yeah. It was like a dry chemical fire extinguisher. So there's multiple types of fire extinguishers you can get. One of the fire extinguishers they used to use in military vehicles was a Halo fire extinguisher, which is real fucking bad because Halo is a oxygen remover.
Oh, so we're gonna suffocate the soldiers so they don't burn.
Yeah, basically it's you have to try to get everybody out of the vehicle first and then deploy the Halo fire extinguisher. The only problem with that is some of these fire extinguishers, the handle for it was on the outside, and if you knew where it was, you could just run up to a military vehicle and pull the Halo thing and then suffocate everyone inside the vehicle. So, I was out of the convoy at one point, and we were waiting to go somewhere, so we were just stopped, we were all like lined up, getting ready to roll out, and one of the vehicles is just...
This was probably the best thing about being on a naval vessel, because the naval vessels had been out like on a ship. If you're on a ship, they've encountered the bugs and all the kinks and all the little stupid things that happen when you're not sitting there as an engineer or anybody at all thinking about, wait a minute, this isn't going to make sense if we do X. They've already had these ships out there. I pitied, I was sitting there just having legitimate pity for people that were put on new classes of ships, because the stuff that they're talking about, they're going to have to deal with in abundance. Just because engineers don't think about stuff like this, and I don't know why. It's just something that doesn't even cross anybody's head. They just think, oh, well, we'll do things this way. And then it's like, that's not going to work because reasons specified.
Sitting there, and then I just see, poof, this like white mushroom cloud goes shooting out the turret, and all the doors open, and everyone just comes out of the vehicle. They come out just completely covered in white powder.
Yep.
How did that go off?
One of them was sitting in there smoking, and he took a drag off the cigarette, and then he held the cigarette too close to the fire suppression system, and it saw the bright red glow of the cigarette, and went, oh fuck, the whole vehicle's on fire, and just set off the entire thing. So they were just all standing there, like, it looked like someone threw a bag of flour in their face. It was like, what happened? It was so funny because obviously they needed help. They needed someone to like pour water on them or just something.
God.
But you're all too busy laughing.
Everyone is standing there pointing and laughing at them. The funniest shit. We got an armored personnel carrier into our motor pool at one point because apparently there weren't any tracked vehicle repairmen nearby.
That is an instance where it sucks to be you.
And you were working on it because it's a small gun?
No, I was working on it because I didn't have anything else to do. And it was a little tank, and I thought it would be fun.
Okay.
I know it's not actually a tank. Oh my god, a 113 isn't a tank. Whatever. It has tracks. I was like, oh my god, it's a tank.
An APC is a tank, as far as I care.
It isn't really, but whatever. Anyway, we got this 113 in, and it needed just some various things done to it. It needed like the transmission serviced, and it needed like the handle repaired on the door on the back of it. Some other stuff fixed. Because basically what they were doing is they were using it as a gate guard vehicle. There's the gate that you would normally drive through.
Right.
And what they would do is they would park the little armored personnel carrier sideways in front of the gate.
In case anyone tried to ram through the gate?
Yeah, basically in case someone tried to ram through the gate, because now you have to get through an entire armored vehicle.
Which
so yeah,
you're not going to
some
do.
Various things fixed on it. So
Like, you're going to need a lot to get through one of those, and they just didn't have that.
like found the manual for it and started helping to try to replace stuff. And I got to drive it around a bunch, which, you know how normally on like an automatic transmission, when you grab the little handle, it says like PRND1. This one, it was like PRP D D2L Q Japanese sign for fire?
The second P is probably R, but like the leg is shaved off or
Well,
something.
no, it wasn't shaved off, but I do specifically remember that there was one that said P that was not park. And the reason I know it wasn't park is because I got in the tank to move it. There was nothing else in the motor pool. We had specifically made sure that all the other vehicles were away from this one.
This is weird, huh?
Because none of us actually knew how to drive the armored personnel carrier.
Great.
So I get in the little armed personnel carrier. I figure out how to start it, which is pretty simple, honestly. There's just a big knob that says start, and you turn it.
Mm-hmm.
So I get in there. What's P do? Put it in P, press the gas pedal, and it goes, wow, and does a 180.
It turns around?
It just starts spinning in place. Turns out P stands for pivot.
Pivot! Oh, okay.
Yeah, P is pivot, not park.
Lovely.
I'm glad that's not confusing at all.
No, not at all confusing. Anyway, yeah, I figured out how to drive it. It was really cool. It was, man, I had so much fun driving that little armored personnel carrier around.
Once you figured out how it worked.
Yeah.
P for pivot, R
for
for
pivot.
run people over, D for don't move. Yeah, that all makes sense.
Do you know what tankers call infantry?
Crunchies.
Yeah, crunchies. Okay, yeah, I had, man, that thing was so much fun to drive around.
You didn't tell me you drove a tank and an APC.
Well, it is an APC.
You said you also drove a tank.
That's what yeah, no,
You're having some trouble remembering all the things you've driven.
I had that brain problem again. Yes, I have driven an M1 Abrams, and I have driven a armored personnel carrier.
Okay.
The M1 Abrams, it wasn't for very long. It was for like, I don't know, maybe a minute.
You were parking it.
Yeah, basically. I still have that image somewhat. I still have that picture somewhere of me driving sitting in the armored personnel carrier, trying not to grin like an idiot.
Should have took a selfie of yourself in an APC.
No, somebody else took a picture of me.
All right.
But yeah, it's just a photo of me in an APC trying not to grin like an idiot because I'm super happy. I'm even wearing like the combat vehicle crewman helmet. I got like that whole thing on with like the headphones. I'm like, yay, this is fun.
Well, I'm glad every experience you had was fun over there.
No. Oh, God. I love hearing about military stories because it reminds me of my time in. And the general weirdness that you would face. And sometimes the things that you just wanted to headbutt a wall over. For the life of me, I don't understand. Like, we actually had forest camo, for the ship. Like, for people that were on the ship. It never made an ounce of sense to me why we would have that on the ship. Like, we would just have these huge they weren't even Kevlar vests. They were just these massive, of course we had the Kevlar, you know, regular Kevlar vest, but then you had this oversuit of Kevlar that you put on, and the thing was so hot and so ungodly. The thing weighed so much. It was stupid how much that thing weighed. And it was all in Forest cameo. And then you have the Star Wars helmets, which, by the way, that thing is not designed for comfort. That thing feels like daggers being stabbed into your head. And I'm not sure, like, if that, it's not like a construction helmet. Like, if you get hit with in the head with a hammer by this thing, you're going to feel it for days. You really are. It's not going to crack your skull. The helmet might, depending on how hard you got hit. But, no. Oh, hearing these just makes me laugh because it's just like, oh my God, the amount of times that you just saw ridiculousness and it just became the norm. It just became the absolute norm for you. And it's like him talking about, just being able to sleep through anything. I slept, for the longest time, I slept right at the waterline of our boat. And it was, you just got noise constant. The thing that would wake me up is if there was no noise. That's what freaked me out. But I slept right, like when I was at home. That was loud. When I was at home, I had a train that ran by my apartment less than about maybe 50 yards from my house. Closer than this one. And the thing would come through at 3 o'clock in the morning and never wake me up. I was so used to just noise. And it was the lack of noise that would get me the most. Like when I would go and visit my parents live way off, way off any main road. Like the closest main road is almost like 2 miles straight walk through the woods to get to that main road. So it's so quiet out there. And when I would come home and visit, I couldn't sleep for anything because there was no noise, and even the slightest sound could wake me up because there was just no freaking noise out there. It was just so quiet. So it's a completely different. I used to have to sleep like when I was in my apartment, I had to sleep with like 3 alarm clocks because there was just no way I was going to wake up. And I usually slept with some sort of radio playing, some sort of static or just general music, or I'd leave the TV on in the living room just to have some noise in the background so I could sleep. Now I've gotten out of that, and now I can sleep in silence, but and now I can wake up with 1 alarm clock nowadays. But back in the day, if you asked me if I was going to wake up with 1 alarm clock, I'd tell you, yeah, whatever you want me to go to, I'm not going to make it there. No, not at all. In any case, guys, all of Mikefireburn's links are going to be in the description down below. I really recommend going to check them out. Thank you, Bloody Magpie, for this suggestion. If you'd like to support the channel, just leave a like and a comment, and I appreciate that. And I'll catch you guys next time. The 3 alarm clocks, guys. I'm not even kidding about that. Phone, the little ringer one, and the radio one. Or else I'm not waking up.